Rav Etiel, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and it's such an honor to have you on.
Charlie, it's such an honor to be on this show. I've been watching it. I can't believe it's been over a year and you do this every single week. Unbelievable.
It's a full
Unbelievable.
team, and it's an honor. And I only knew it was over a year because the last year I had the beard at this time also, so the beard reminded me of how long
Coming
it
in.
was.
It's coming
Yeah,
in.
thank you. So we were talking about this idea of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was one of the greatest ever, and what he exemplified wasn't just scholarship, which he had, and wasn't just kindness and all the qualities that we expect from one of the greatest Jews to ever walk the face of this earth. What he exemplified, and I want to talk about tonight, is the idea of resilience. Here's an individual who bet everything on Bar Kochva, on the revolt, and saw it turn upside down on him, and had this incredible strength to go out and start again, which is really a lot of the joy, in my opinion, of the holiday that we have right now. As somebody who's very familiar with Rabbi Akiva and his life, maybe you can share with us some insight as to the man behind that moment. What do you think led to having such resilience?
Wow. Wow. So the truth is, as a child, I would say Rabbi Akiva was my favorite, Tanoic figure. I grew up in a rabbinic home, so I grew up with the stories. I was mesmerized by his story. He started learning when he was 40. The rabbis teach us that his life was divided into like three different sections. And the first 40 years of his life was nothing that was connected to Judaism. He was a shepherd in, Kalba Savua's home. And there's a romantic story. He like fell in love with the rich man's daughter. And she saw something in him and she fell in love with him and they got married when it was like inside. And when her father found out that they were engaged, he disowned her, but she believed in him. And I would say, a lot of times we speak about Rabbi Akiva and his greatness. I think his inner strength came from his wife.
Wow, what a beautiful
and
concept.
and I think that gets overlooked. I mean, the Chazal speak about it more and more, how she believed in him and she said you could do it. And the stories like that, he's like picking out like the straw from her hair, and he's like, if only I could buy you this like golden, crown that the women used to wear, women of royalty, that she probably had from her father's house, but now she's totally disowned. And she's like, I love you, and I see your potential. She sends him to go learn, and he's learning there with his son, which is also, by the way, sometimes our children get us to do things that we wouldn't otherwise be doing. He wants to educate his son, and he decides to learn as well, but he's consistent, and she pushes him, and she pushes him, and I think that's where he has his inner strength, because when things get tough, she's always like giving him some more courage. And there's the famous story. I don't know if you guys discussed it here. The story of Rabbi Akiva on his way to study. We have in Isha Torah, we have the great fortune of teaching. We have this great chihuli, this glass
Sure,
art sculpture, and it
sure.
represents Rav Noach Weinberg, Zichron Levracha, loved saying over this story, which was the story of true greatness. How he became our greatest leader was he saw this. He comes to the well and he sees this smooth. The rock is totally smooth, and he's like, "How did that happen?" And they tell him, "Oh, it's the water that's dripping there." The famous story, and the lesson over there is one drop of water. If I ask you, one drop of water that falls on a rock, does it leave an impact on the rock? So most people are like, one drop
How
is
could it?
nothing.
Right, right.
How could it? But if one drop is zero, so zero times a million is also nothing. So Rabbi Akiva learned at that moment, if a drop of water that is consistent every day in the same spot over and over again, that's what penetrates the rock. So the words of the Torah, every day a little bit, will penetrate my heart. And he started with Aleph, started with Beis, and every day he took upon himself just one more letter. I don't need to learn the whole thing. I don't need to master all of Judaism. I'm going to learn one letter. I'm going to learn one
Yeah.
Mishnah. I'm going to learn one pasuk. That's what gave him the energy.
So I want to sort of double click on what you're saying because it's super powerful. The first point that you're making, which is believing in somebody else, that we always underestimate how much believing in someone else empowers them. And Rabbi Akiva had the the full faith and confidence of his spouse, which was it was the most
Unreal.
important thing to him. And what you're
Totally.
adding is such a great element, which is so true. If we just stop for a minute and like calm down, because we live in a world where everything has to be delivered yesterday. The idea of one step in front of the next, the idea of just a little bit, it's such a it's such a difficult but simple concept, right? Because you can imagine him getting up and thinking it's all over, it's done, I built everything, and now it's, and then him remembering there's someone that believes in me, and him remembering I don't got to solve it, I just got to go one step today, and that is
One
so
step.
powerful.
That's right. That's right. And that comes when you have a clear vision of where you're going. And I'll bring it back to his wife Rachel, because there's one medrash that's fascinating where it was Rabbi Gamliel's wife, all the way at the end of Rabbi Akiva's life. He's wealthy now. He's on the top of the world, and his father-in-law brings back and he wants to shower them with all the gifts, and Rabbi Akiva buys his wife the best that a woman could have in those days, and she's walking around like royalty. And Rabbi Gamliel's wife is like, how come his wife gets to walk around like that and not me? And he says, if you would do, or if you know what she went through and her persistence throughout all of and she saw this moment when they were newly wed
Beautiful.
40, 60, 80 years before, she saw that. That's how they got there. You have to see it,
Beautiful.
but it doesn't happen in a click.
No.
It does not happen. It's step
Yeah.
by step by step.
Yeah. You got to believe in the people that don't show it to you. You believe in your kids when no one else does. You believe in each other. You believe in yourself. You believe in your spouses. When you believe in the people around you when no one does,
That's
that's
right.
why you're here. What an
And that's
incredible.
and I'll add to that in the believing. I think Rabbi Akiva, and people don't understand this, right? We have, unfortunately, Jewish history is filled with a lot of tragedies. Why is it that only the death of the students of Rabbi Akiva, it has its own mourning period? All
Yeah.
of the other tragedies that we have, we pile on to Tisha B'Av.
Right.
And Tisha B'Av, the destruction of the temple, that's when we don't get married during the 3 weeks or the 9 days. We don't listen to music,
Right.
or we grow out our hair. Those are all the things of mourning of Tisha B'Av and all the other tragedies. But yet Rabbi Akiva's students, when they died, we have the same customs. Why is that? And I think that's the resilience. It will, when we understand it, we'll understand where Rabbi Akiva got that inner strength to get up and start all over again with 5 students, which all the Torah that we have from Rabbi Akiva comes from those 5 students. When he goes 24,000, the Kabbalists teach us that Rabbi Akiva's life, the first third was tohu vavo, was, just like the world. The first 2,000 years was tohu vavo. The second third was Torah, was learning and growing, just like the second third of the world was Torah, from Avram Avinu all the way to, till this time period. And the last 40 years of Rabbi Akiva felt it was the last 2,000 years, which the Kabbalists called 2,000 years of Mashiach. The potential of Mashiach coming was in the time of Rabbi Akiva. He wasn't just galvanizing and teaching the secrets of the Torah and getting his Talmidim that they had the potential of bringing Mashiach. Bar Kokhba wasn't a false Mashiach, Messiah. He was the potential of being Mashiach, but it was
Didn't happen.
Shalonagu Kavod Zeh Bazeh. They
Beautiful.
weren't able to connect as one. Rabbi Akiva was trying to bring Mashiach, and the potential was there. The Torah was there. The Am Yisrael was there. We were in Israel. It was time to bring it back, but we couldn't live together. We weren't happy for one another's success. And that's why when, unfortunately, it was all over, he said, I'm not giving up. I'm going to start again. And you know what? We're in the generation where we're picking up the last piece of what Rabbi Akiva started
Wow.
again.
Wow.
If we're talking about resilience, we have to be resilient and realize all we need to do in our generation is what those Talmidim failed, which is to be happy for one another.
Wow. What
because
a
we
great
have to
concept.
realize we're on a mission.
We're on a mission. That's the overarching answer here, which is when you're on a mission, you can't go down because you have a mission to fulfill.
That's right.
Rabbi, thank you so much for what you do and everything that you're teaching and all this, the light that you bring to the world every day. And it's an honor to have you on the show and keep on spreading your light to this world.
Charlie, you're amazing. And I just want to say, I'm personally a big fan. I'm sure
Yes.
everyone that's watching is a big fan. And it's
Too
amazing.
kind.
I would say your consistency has
Too kind.
inspired me throughout this whole entire Corona time period. And that's the resilience. It
Amen.
doesn't matter how difficult it got out there, another lockdown. We're on a mission of spreading the light, of trying to encourage one another, of uniting. When you're on a mission, you don't let things stop you.
Exactly
And I
right.
think all of us at home, we're on a mission, and together we can accomplish it.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you so much. An honor to be here.
Thanks so much for watching. For more content, like and subscribe, and be sure to tune in live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern at theshabbatshow.com or right here on YouTube.